I was born with a birthmark on my forehead, a rather ugly one at that. And the priest who came to see me and to name me looked at the sad expression of my parents and said, "Not to worry, your son is going to be extremely fortunate, extremely blessed, and extremely lucky. He's going to make you very, very proud." And I grew up with that feeling because that's what they made me feel. They made me feel special. They made me feel that I was lucky. Obviously, he was doing this to make my parents feel good, but it worked. And how? I was able to, in hindsight, do extremely well in life with very little in terms of qualification, with very little in terms of financial support. I started my product business and it grew into a mega success. I was just out of college and I had no knowledge of computers, had a BA Arts degree, bootstrapped my way through and got acquired in 20 years. And from there, led another merged company to massive domination of the India market. Obviously, I was just plain lucky. Obviously, I've been blessed. And that narrative seemed to be a good explanation to anybody, not just to me, but to the world at large. That how did this kid make it so big? And I realized that most successful people say the same thing, that they got lucky, they worked hard, and they were extremely successful. I stuck with this narrative till a point when a friend of mine who looked at me when I was saying, "Look, I want to write about being blessed," said, "Shoaib, you are suffering from an imposter syndrome." That was like a slap onto me. I said, "What do you mean? What is an imposter syndrome?" And looking up, I realized that yes, I did feel that I didn't deserve all this success. I did feel that I didn't have the necessary skills to reach where I've reached. And I was worried that at some point in time, if my luck runs out, that I will be found out. This called for a little bit of introspection, not little bit, deep introspection, to understand what are those elements, what is it that I have as a skill, or what is it that I have as a knowledge, and what is it that is me which has worked. And not just me, to examine successful people to see what is it that is not spoken about and probably has worked in their favor. So today, I want to share with you my learnings and the 4 factors which I believe are critical for getting anybody's success quotient or the luck quotient going for them. The first factor which worked and which I think is most important is the sense of guidance and the sense and getting somebody to actually help you to walk you through the important steps. And I'm fortunate that my uncle was my first guide. And he gave me the simple frame which I think is not taught at any business school effectively, which was imagination trumps over knowledge or intelligence. He used the word dimag and khayal. It just stuck with me forever. He got me to visualize and he got me to believe that anything is possible. At that point in time, I was selling hardware and selling computers to businesses, and it was very, very difficult to sell. And for me, the insight was that if only there was some good software, some good local business software for the businesses would adopt technology a lot faster. So I set myself off and started my software business way back in 89, 90 in Bangalore, where everybody else was doing services. I said, let me create a product. No clue what it takes to build a product, but just clarity that yes, that's what is needed. The market needs a product, something that every business will then buy. Audacious. But the frame of luck was phenomenal. It helped me to understand that if I structure my teams around luck, if I structure my people around around the two factors of labor and knowledge. Operations people and knowledge people. Bring them together, make them work together. Create a team with a common intent. Create a team which sticks with a safe journey. Getting them to collaborate with each other would work, and it did. And I realized that for longest period of time, I didn't need to worry about organization structures by simply designing around the L.U.C. framework. So this worked for me both at a personal and a team level. But today, as I sit in front of you, I stare at a challenge which the industry is facing. It pains me to see startups getting funded and a lot of money going down the tube of the investors when businesses don't succeed. And I'm sure there should be an answer to this. And my inspiration comes from having studied a little bit about how in the construction business, way back, when bridges were being made, they would fall. And nobody could actually figure out what is the cause of the failure of the construction business. Till architects and designers got together, shared knowledge, and came up with designs which today hold. Today, when you go across a bridge, you never think that it's going to fail. And my vision is that I believe that every business which gets funded under the framework of L.U.C. will also succeed and will never have the situation of money getting wasted because it's not being effectively put to use, or because the founders didn't know what it takes to scale quickly. Of course, besides L.U.C., businesses need to be blessed. The founders need to be blessed. And what do I mean by that? Just like L.U.C., for which my uncle had put as an acronym of L.U.C.K, the acronym B.L.E.S.S, B.L.E.S.S, stands for being loved enhances superlative success. Being loved is obvious. We follow our leaders and do whatever they ask us to do only if we love them. We will, as fans, forgive a product which we love even if it comes out with a whole lot of flaws. Why? If I fall sick and go to a doctor and he resolves my pain and I see somebody else who's not well, I will immediately tell him, go to this doctor irrespective of what the problem is. That's how powerful the emotion of love is. People who want you to succeed will only want you to do that if they feel strongly about it. And that feeling is something that we need to create. And it's a very simple process to do. One, the element of listening and the element of caring is the first piece. We need to be able to engage fully with whoever we talk to. But more importantly, and the harder one to do, is to take actions and do things for people without expecting an immediate response or immediate transaction to take place. This is hard because in businesses we are taught to focus on a transaction. We are taught to focus on immediate returns. We are never taught or trained to say, hey, let's do something for somebody and not expect reciprocity. And this, in my understanding and in my lived experience of businesses at scale, those who do this well are able to succeed immensely. We did this at our company where we realized that all our partners, and we had over 10,000 of them, who were selling IT products, were challenged in growing their businesses because companies and the market needed education and they didn't know how to go about it. It was a bottleneck in the market. What we did was, at scale, educated them on new technologies and equipped them with simple tools which they could take to their customers and build back a relationship. That for us worked like magic. We built not just like a rising tide lifts all boats. Our businesses also went up because when generic business went up. But because we had taken this effort at scale, we built deep relationships across with partners and they loved us. made sure that nobody else could come into the market, because irrespective of the technology, we may not have been the best, we may not have been the latest, but they will not go to anybody else. And not just in an action like this. When a tax regime was being changed, we did massive education for influencers and customers, and the same magic happened. At that point in time, the returns were phenomenal. The kinds of inquiries that we got and the amount of leads that we got and the amount of business that we got, we did not have the capacity to service. With, and let me add, zero advertising. This is my lived experience. And this, in my view, forms the foundation of a blessed company. Besides these two elements, I'd like to now further talk about working on principle and values such that the organization now can work on a sustained basis. My first experience, again, during the merger of my company was a conversation with the founder. And during the conversation, we established our price. And unlike any other merger or any other acquisition which I've seen around me subsequently, all that he did was he told the finance department to issue the check. So I was shocked. I said, what about the diligence? What about the paperwork? What about the 20 years of whatever you want to unearth to pick out from which normal diligence picks out? He said, where are you going? Take the check and handle whatever needs to be handled with our statutory team. That bowled me, and did two things. It established ownership and, more importantly, clarified that businesses are on intent. And it wasn't just me. The entire partner network was without any paperwork. And the intent was that we will come together and make a difference. We will do something magical, and that worked. The second piece was the principle that if my product has no value for you, your money has no value for me. Against these principles were multiple policies which gave a lot of confidence to customers and to the market and made sure that nobody lost out in the transactions. The third piece was the value of simplicity. We were in a market where technology is complex. The process of buying technology is worrisome. Customers are hassled with the jargon that we throw at them. And not just the jargon, the whole process of buying, putting it to use, getting a specialist to operate, intimidates and adds friction to the whole sale. What we did as an organization is not just customer facing, but for internal vendors as well as for our people who join our organization, build a practice and a review that what are the elements of complexity or anxiety that we have absorbed or shifted away from the touch point. Now, all this effort that we are putting into the market and all this shifting of complexity has a bearing. It has a load onto us. As a founder, especially, it is very, very intimidating. The complexity can be fairly challenging to absorb. And the only way that you can continue to keep your customers happy, your partners happy, and people happy is if you yourself are happy. And as founder, there are two things that work. The first is fairly straightforward. Never compare yourself with anybody else. There's always somebody doing better, always somebody doing a lot more, and you'll immediately become unhappy. Why? Not just founders. Employees too become unhappy the moment they realize that their peer has got a higher salary than them. So unhappiness, the root cause is comparison. But that's human nature and harder to solve. But what is solvable is to distance yourself a little bit from the business. You're passionately involved, and when you get passionately involved, you refuse to see the mistakes you're making. You refuse to take feedback, and you try harder. It's important to step back and create a distance. And to do this, you need help. You need somebody who can be your guide. You need somebody who will give you the necessary feedback. You need to be less rigid. You need to be less dogmatic. You need to be more interesting. And you need to cultivate these skills on a continuous basis. Which brings me back to, you need to create an atmosphere. You need to go back to the L.U.C. framework. You need to have somebody to be your guide, and you can be rest assured that with the guidance that you will create, you'll be able to create a blessed company. You will be able to live by your values, and you will be able to continuously focus on your self-improvement, knowing fully well that your business is a reflection of you. If people have to be happy, you have to be happy. And I'm sure if you follow these 4 factors, you're bound to have a phenomenal business life, and not just a business life, a satisfied life too. All the very best. Wishing you the best of luck and a blessed journey. Thank you.